Taste is a powerful thing, capable of conjuring up some pretty potent memories. But what about all the once popular food stuff people just don't have a taste for anymore? Here are some once popular items that just sort of disappeared. Remember Sunny D? The not quite orange juice drink that kids craved in the 80s and 90s?
We got soda, OJ, purple stuff, and 2 kinds of Sunny D.
What happened to that stuff anyway? The tab says Sunny Delight hit shelves in 1968, long before we were really paying attention to things like artificial ingredients. It was insanely popular, and not just in America. When it hit the UK in 1998, it came in behind only Coke and Pepsi in the drinks market. That's weird because it's essentially 5% juice and 95% watery corn syrup, a combination that 100% tastes like your mouth post-vomit. Credit Sunny D's downfall, however, to shady marketing and bad PR. The Food Commission, an independent consumer commission in the UK, started to call out manufacturer Procter & Gamble for their misleading advertising that suggested there was some sort of nutritional value to the stuff, when there definitely wasn't. And in 1999, a 5-year-old Welsh girl turned a yellowish-orange color after drinking way too much of it. She overdosed on beta-carotene pigment, which gives Sunny D its unusually orange color. Yikes! Sunny D overhauled their recipe and rebranded in an attempt to shake their super unhealthy image. It's still on store shelves, but it's not nearly as popular as it once was. Cottage cheese has a long history, as it dates back to a colonial era when nothing went to waste, not even the leftover milk that was scraped off the cream. It was consistently produced from then on, but it wasn't until the 1950s that it became super trendy. By the 70s, Americans ate about 5 pounds of the stuff a year per person, on average.
Pick me up in the dairy case. I'll be wearing blue and white.
Somewhere along the line, though, people became less enamored with cottage cheese's weird texture and aggressively bland taste. Part of the problem is likely that it's hard to make a cottage cheese that's consistent. But yogurt? That's much easier to make, much more of a consistent product, and manufacturers have developed so many flavors and types that everyone's bound to find something they like. Not surprisingly, the more old-fashioned cottage cheese got kicked to the curb. While not many people are reaching in the freezer to pull out a TV dinner these days, they changed the way we eat. They were first developed in the 1950s, and according to The Atlantic, they were created by Swanson as a way to package and sell Thanksgiving leftovers. Swanson sold 25 million meals the first year their TV dinners hit the shelves, and sales steadily climbed until 2008. That's when sales dropped with such startling speed that Nestle was ready to unload their frozen food division, valued at around $400 million. Since then, sales have continued to drop or remain flat, and with more and more people valuing freshness over convenience, it seems as though the day of the TV dinner has passed. Congealed salads were popular for a long time. The basic idea has been around since the 1400s. Gelatin, made from boiled animal bones, skin, and tissue, is used to encase anything from vegetables to fish in a mold of jiggly goodness. Serious Eats says there are a few reasons they were popular. They were a practical way to use leftovers. They were versatile, and the daily meal adds they were also a bit of a status symbol because if you could afford the refrigerator you needed to chill them in overnight, you were doing pretty well. They stayed so popular that by the 1960s, Jell-O released savory flavors like mixed vegetable and celery. But once we moved into the 1970s, congealed salads were on the way out. You can, however, still find people making Jell-O salads, as they've managed to stay in vogue in certain regions, particularly in the South. As for the rest of the country, not so much. Think back to almost every backyard barbecue, cookout, and family reunion you went to as a kid. There were at least a few bowls of Ambrosia salad, right? There are a ton of ways to make them, but most involve Jell-O with cream or Cool Whip, cream cheese, and chunky bits from pineapple and oranges to coconut and pecans. Sounds interesting? Serious Eats says Ambrosia salad dates back to at least the late 1800s and adds that it likely became popular because, at the time, all those ingredients were special exotic treats. It became linked with Christmas traditions, and it just sort of stuck around in the South. So while there's a small portion of the population that is trying to give Ambrosia salad a makeover and repopularize it, many people are just happy this weird stuff is going the way of the dodo.
If you completely forgot this childhood favorite even existed, you're not alone. Sure, there are still made-right restaurants slinging loose meat sandwiches in the Midwest. And there's at least one gourmet Sloppy Joe's food truck out there, DC's Neat Meat. But Sloppy Joe's are nowhere near the weekly dinnertime staple, complete with manwich sauce, as they once were.
I know how you kids like 'em sloppy.
Lady, you're scaring us.
Sandwich-centric food blog Eat a Sandwich took to social media to try to find out just when was the last time someone had a sloppy joe. And the answers varied but hovered around sometime in the 1990s.
I love marriage Mondays.
It's possible it's a health thing, and they're just too high in sodium for people. The name might be turning people off as adults, and sloppy joes haven't been given the gourmet makeover that similar kid-friendly fare like grilled cheese has. One response to the "why aren't we all still eating sloppy joes" question was the simple, straightforward, "because we're not 11." Hard to argue with that. There's a good chance you forgot that tapioca pudding is even a thing. If you're of a certain age, you probably remember eating the little snack pack as a kid, or the homemade kind that grandma used to make. So what happened? It's not entirely clear, but the culinary historians over at Aunt Lil's Kitchen suggest scratch-made tapioca fell from popularity because it was a time-consuming and rather difficult process. In 2005, Amanda Hesser concluded in the New York Times that it probably fell out of favor for two reasons. Most home cooks can't give it the proper consistency, and it looks disgusting when it's done wrong. Unfortunately, improper cooking of this oddly textured treat is all too common, which is why it's earned the nickname fisheye pudding. With a nickname like that, it's no wonder people stopped eating it. Or maybe it's something else.
Tapioca is extracted from the root of the plant Monahot esculenta due to a high concentration of cyanide. It is poisonous in its raw form and lethal if prepared improperly.
It wasn't too long ago that a backyard cookout wasn't complete without a massive tray of franks and beans. People took it seriously too. In 1995, Margaret King of Yankee Magazine reminisced about how important it was to get the dish just right in mid-century New England, writing, "The yin-yang of trying to achieve excellence with franks and beans was the secret of not only a great supper, but of a marriage as well." Franks and beans were easy, affordable, filling, and to some, delicious. So why aren't they a mealtime staple anymore? You could argue that they're the opposite of Instagrammable. Plus, these days, if you're going to eat hot dogs in public, they're going to be authentic stadium-style dogs or in foodie-friendly street food form like those found in food trucks. Not all chopped up and mixed with canned beans. We're also a little more aware of the consequences of sodium these days, and canned beans and hot dogs are both big offenders in that regard. Business Wire says sales of kids' beverages have been on the decline since at least 2008, and there are a few reasons for that. The American Academy of Pediatrics notes that one little box of High C Wild Cherry contains 27 grams of sugar. That's more than the American Heart Association recommends for an adult woman to have in an entire day. And Romper points out they're not exactly environmentally friendly either. A juice box can take 300 years, at least, to disintegrate, and anyone who wants to set a good example for their kids is opting for reusable containers. McDonald's had a hand in forcing us all to stop drinking High C too. Specifically, the drink known as High C Orange Lava Burst, when they decided to stop carrying it in 2017. Believe it or not, you can still buy gum in tape form under the name Hubba Bubba Bubble Tape. Even more surprising, fruit stripe gum is still around. So is Bubble Yum, the super sweet, super fruity gum that suffered briefly from the strange rumor it was made with spider eggs. It's understandable that adults have moved on from these totally radical gums, but even the kids aren't chewing these sugary gums much anymore. What happened here? It's likely these 80s and 90s favorites were pushed aside when we realized sugar-free gum wasn't terrible, and that we could chomp away without all the tooth decay. But then again, can your sugar-free gum do this?
Their full-face taste keeps my jaws jamming, and their breast and bubbles slide off my lips like my fingers across this guitar. You gotta like the sound of that.